Philip Hammond is envious of Boris Johnson, contemptuous of ordinary people, resistant to public opinion and still refuses to accept Brexit, a former No 10 advisor has said in a scathing attack. And in a withering putdown, Nick Timothy, Theresa May's former Joint Chief of Staff, said the former Chancellor is now the best possible advertisement for scrapping the House of Lords, where he is now a peer. Mr. Timothy spoke out in the wake of an interview with the UK in a Changing Europe think tank days earlier, during which Lord Hammond was sharply critical of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's predecessor. Specifically, he accused Mrs. May of making a hardline Brexit speech to the 2016 Conservative Party conference, claiming it was almost a coup. However, Mr. Timothy suggested the interview was actually far more revealing about arch-Brexit critic Lord Hammond than it was about the process of taking the UK out of the European Union. Writing in the Daily Telegraph, Mr. Timothy said, unable to resist jabbing at Leave-supporting politicians, envious of Boris Johnson, ignorant of Parliament, contemptuous of ordinary people, resistant to public opinion, reluctant to concede the reality of what Brexit must mean, incredulous that Theresa May, a woman he believed his inferior, could become Prime Minister. He details a fantasy of what might have been. Lord Hammond's characterization was a fantasy, Mr. Timothy said. He explained, his account of May's Brexit speech to the 2016 Tory conference makes no sense. He says she retreated from it in her Lancaster House speech, but there she went further, promising to leave the single market and customs union. In his interview, Mr. Hammond also admits taking part in discussions with fellow Remainers about the possibility of a second referendum, opting against the idea because we didn't actually think we'd win it. Mr. Timothy added, instead, he makes clear, he worked to undermine what Brexit would mean. Despite claiming to accept the referendum result, it is not obvious what Hammond thought Britain should leave. The single market? No. The customs union? No. The writ of the European Court of Justice? That was just theological argument. Mr. Timothy was also skeptical about Lord Hammond's Remainer credentials. He said, Hammond says he was never a leaver, but those who worked for him say he boasted for years that Britain must leave the EU.